They say love is a promise, a vow to cherish and protect each other through every storm. But what happens when the storm is within and the one you trust most breaks that promise? I find myself standing at a crossroads I never thought I'd face, especially not with our baby on the way. It was 5 years ago when Victor walked into my life. We were young, hopeful, and as I believed, in love. From the start, I made my boundaries clear. Cheating was a line I would never tolerate. Victor agreed and even seemed relieved that I had such firm standards. And for years, I thought we were happy, building a life together, brick by brick. Not perfect, of course, what relationship is, but we worked through our challenges together, or so I thought. Then, about a year ago, we made the biggest decision of our lives. We decided to try for a baby. When I told Victor we were expecting, he cried tears of joy. I'll never forget that moment. His face lit up, and he held me like I was the most precious thing in the world. We were finally starting our family, and when we found out it was a girl, Victor was over the moon. He always said he wanted at least one daughter to spoil, to be his little princess. We painted the nursery together and picked out the perfect name. Every detail of our future seemed like it was falling into place. But while I was dreaming of our little family, Victor was planning something else entirely. It happened last weekend. Victor had gone out to pick up groceries, something routine, but he left his phone behind, something he never does. As I walked past it, a message popped up on the screen. Just a few words from his so-called work wife, Alicia. So the plan's on? It was like a switch flipped in my brain. I don't know why, but something about that message made my heart pound. I knew I shouldn't invade his privacy, but I had to know. I unlocked his phone, and what I found? I wish I hadn't looked. I discovered messages and plans to ask me to open our marriage so he and Alicia could start going out. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through weeks, no, months of messages. If they weren't already sleeping together, they were planning to. It felt like someone had just punched me in the stomach. All those years of promises, all those dreams of our little girl, shattered in an instant. I had always believed in loyalty, in honesty. I had trusted Victor with my heart, and he had crushed it. The worst part was that he knew exactly how I felt about infidelity, and he still chose to betray me. But I wasn't going to let him see me break. I knew I had to protect myself and my baby. I wasn't going to confront him, not yet. I needed to be smart, to plan my next move carefully. I packed a bag and headed to my older brother Oliver's house. Oliver had always been my rock, and when I told him what happened, he didn't hesitate to open his doors to me. I didn't want Victor to know that I knew, so I left a note saying Oliver had an emergency and I needed to help him. Victor just asked me to stay in touch and said he loved me. I didn't even look back. I couldn't. I needed time to think, to breathe, to figure out what to do next. I knew I couldn't stay in that house, in that life, pretending everything was okay. At Oliver's, I finally felt safe, but I was far from okay. Victor kept trying to call and text me, worried about where I was. I couldn't bring myself to talk to him, not without screaming or breaking down. So Oliver took over, texting him back as if everything was fine. It was the only way I could keep my sanity. But inside, I was anything but fine. My mind was racing, going over every moment, every sign I might have missed. How long had Victor been planning this? How could I have been so blind? The betrayal cut deep, but I knew I had to stay strong for my baby. I remembered our wedding day and the vows we made. How could those promises have meant so little to him? I thought about our baby girl, the life we were supposed to build together. I couldn't let her grow up thinking this was okay, that it was acceptable for a man to break his word and betray his family. I knew I had to protect my daughter and myself. I wasn't going to let Victor get away with this, but I had to be smart about it. I needed to gather my strength to make sure every step I took was the right one for both of us. The lawyer laid out my options, and as we discussed the future, I felt a glimmer of hope. This was my chance to take control, to ensure that my daughter would grow up in a stable, loving environment. The decisions weren't easy. How do you navigate a life where trust has been shattered? But I knew I had to be strong, not just for myself, but for my daughter. I couldn't let her see me crumble, and I certainly couldn't let her think that what Victor did was acceptable. The days that followed were some of the hardest. Victor's calls became more frequent, more desperate. He didn't understand why I was avoiding him, why I wasn't coming home. But I couldn't face him yet. I needed more time to think, to plan my next move. I was caught in a waiting game, torn between the need to act and the fear of what that action would mean for our future. I knew that once I revealed the truth, there would be no going back. Our lives would be changed forever. But I also knew that I couldn't live in the shadow of his betrayal. I had to face him eventually, to confront him with the evidence, and to tell him what I had decided for our daughter's sake. What kind of message would it send to our daughter if I stayed? If I allowed Victor to be part of her life, knowing what he was capable of? But then, what kind of life would she have if I cut him out completely? I was torn between wanting to protect her from the pain of a broken family and the need to teach her that self-respect and boundaries matter. I knew that whatever decision I made, it would shape her understanding of relationships, of love, and of trust. And I couldn't afford to make the wrong choice. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the example I would set for her, the lessons she would learn from this even before she was born. I turned to friends, to online communities, seeking advice from those who had been through similar experiences. Some told me to speak to an attorney and follow their advice to the letter. Others warned me about the complexities of co-parenting with someone who had already broken my trust. Their words echoed in my mind. How could I co-parent with someone who had already betrayed me? But I knew they were right. My daughter had the right to know her father, no matter how much he had hurt me. But how do you trust someone with your child when they've already proven they can't be trusted with your heart? I knew the confrontation was inevitable. I couldn't keep avoiding Victor forever, and I certainly couldn't keep this secret from him much longer. So I started planning what I would say and how I would say it. I wrote it all down in a letter first, to organize my thoughts, to make sure I wouldn't falter when the time came. I needed to be clear, to be firm. I had to make him understand that what he had done wasn't just a betrayal of our marriage, but a betrayal of the family we were supposed to be building. I had to tell him that I wasn't going to tolerate this, that I wasn't going to let our daughter grow up thinking this was normal or acceptable. The day finally came when I could no longer avoid it. I called Victor and told him we needed to talk. He sounded relieved, like he thought everything was going to be okay, that we would just go back to how things were. But nothing was okay, and nothing would ever be the same again. We met in a cafe, somewhere neutral, somewhere I could keep my emotions in check. When I showed him the screenshots, the color drained from his face. He tried to explain, to justify, but I didn't let him. I laid out everything I knew, everything I had done since I found out. I told him that I wasn't going to let him play games with our daughter's future. He begged for forgiveness, promised it was just a mistake, that he would do anything to make it right. But I couldn't trust him anymore. I told him that he had made his choice, and now I had to make mine, for our daughter. I told him that I wasn't going to deny him the right to be her father, but things would never be the same between us. Walking away from that cafe was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I knew that life was going to be different now, that the future I had dreamed of was gone. But I also knew that I had done the right thing for my daughter. She would grow up knowing that her mother was strong, that she didn't settle for less than she deserved, and that she would be loved unconditionally. The road ahead is long, and it won't be easy. But I'm ready for it. I have my brother's support, and I have my daughter, who is my world now. Victor will be a part of her life, but he won't have the power to hurt us anymore. We're moving forward, one step at a time. As I stand here, ready to start this new chapter in our lives, I feel a sense of peace. It's not the life I planned, but it's the life I've chosen. And that makes all the difference. My daughter and I will be okay. We'll be more than okay. We'll be strong, we'll be happy, and we'll be free. This isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning of a new one. And I'm ready for whatever comes next. For anyone out there who feels lost, who feels like their world has been shattered, know that you have the strength to rebuild. It won't be easy, and it won't be quick. But you will get through it. And when you do, you'll find that you're stronger than you ever thought possible. This journey has taught me that life doesn't always go the way we planned, but that doesn't mean it can't still be beautiful. My daughter and I have a long road ahead, but we'll walk it together with love, strength, and hope. And that, to me, is the most important promise of all.
I trusted you with all my heart, built a dream, thought we'd never part. But secrets whispered in the dark left a scar, a broken spark. Now I'm standing at the edge with a choice that I must make for the life growing inside me and the steps that I must take. I'm walking away from the lies, from the tears that clouded my skies. I'm finding the strength deep within to start a new beginning. You promised me a life so true, but you broke the vows we made. Now I've got to find my way through the heartache and the pain. I won't let you dim my light. For my daughter I will fight. She'll know love that's pure and strong, and that's where we belong. I'm walking away from the lies, from the tears that clouded my skies. I'm finding the strength deep within to start a new beginning. I won't let you dim my light. For my daughter I will fight. She'll know love that's pure and strong, and that's where we belong. I'm walking away from the lies, from the tears that clouded my skies. I'm finding the strength deep within to start a new beginning. There's a road ahead and it's long, but I'll hold on, I'll be strong. With every step I'll heal and find a love that's real. I'm walking away from the lies, from the tears that clouded my skies. I'm finding the strength deep within to start a new beginning.